Hey guys, it's post Labor Day. I got some good news for you. Those local fisheries that you fish are gonna be less crowded. Also, more good news, those bass are still there. They're still hungry, but they've had everything in the book thrown across their face over the last 5 months and probably a few hooks to the mouth. So you're gonna have to use maybe something that's not your confidence bait here in the fall. So here's 6 underrated lures for the fall. Reach back in your tackle box, grab number 1, the fluke. So I always have this guy rigged up in the fall because there's some big bass nailing those bait balls, and I want to take advantage of it by adding my dying soft jerk bait to the mix. If I see a bass hit the surface within casting distance, I will stop what I'm doing, grab a soft jerk bait like a fluke or a lot of other lures as well. I'll overcast where I saw the bass hit and I'll work this back through, and bam, I'm telling you, like 40% of the time, it's crazy, I will land a bass. Where else can you have a catch rate like that? So there's 2 strategies here with the fluke. Either go out looking for those bait balls, you can kind of identify them through your electronics, or kind of strategy number 2 is you can just have one of these guys on standby like I do in the back of my kayak, and whenever the situation arises, I take advantage of it. I like 2 different types of flukes. I like the Zoom fluke and the Yum Pulse. 2 colors I use are the Pearl for the Yum Pulse, and for the Zoom flukes, I use the Pearl or the Zoom Smoke. Fish these on a medium power, moderate action rod, spinning reel, and 8-pound fluoro. Guys, have one of these hooked up in the fall. You will not be sorry. Moving on to number 2, the buzz bait. Guys, the bass during the fall are starting to move a bit shallow, so I'll break this out in the back of creek channels, around vegetation, around logs. Now, a stock buzz bait will work just fine, but I know a lot of guys what to do is we'll add some type of trailer on there. So on your retrieve, you can vary your speeds. You can burn this thing across, get that fast action of this on the top of the water, or you can slow it down and get that kind of deep plop sound. A lot of times, that will get that bass to strike. Also, another way to slow it down is you can put a trailer on there. It's just gonna move slowly through the water. I know guys that will actually remove the skirt and just put a soft swim bait, which is something I think I'm gonna end up trying sometime this fall, so you might wanna try that out. Now, being that you're trying to imitate shad in the fall, I actually wouldn't use the dark color like you see here. I'd use a translucent or type of white buzz bait. And if you find yourself getting a lot of short strikes, you might wanna consider adding a trailer hook on the back of the buzz bait. Guys, pull this out during the fall, you're gonna have some luck. Moving on to number 3. This one is the spinner bait. These ones work really well because those little bait fish in the spring are now pretty big, and those bass are having their fill. And so if you can dial in the spinner blade with the size of bait fish in your body of water, you got yourself some magic. So the spinner baits are simply going to imitate schooling bait fish. So once again, if you see something hitting on the surface, throw this across, move it, and boom, you'll get that strike. In the early fall, I'm going to usually use a double willow leaf. The more the better. I know they have quad willow leaf spinner baits. Middle fall, I'm going to slow that down a little bit. I'm going to use 1 willow leaf and 1 Colorado blade. Now, pro tip on these spinner baits, you can actually do something called killing it. So if you run it across cover, stop, let it fall, and then start it again. A lot of times you'll get that reaction bite, simply because you are mimicking a dying bait fish in the midst of the schooling bait fish, and they're going to take advantage of the weakest link. Definitely have a spinner bait tied on. Number 4, the walking bait. This is second top water lure to make the list in the fall. I usually use like the bone color like you see here, but when it gets sunny out, I'll move to my silvers or my chromes, and they seem to work really well. This is another bait that I grab if I see a commotion on the top of the water. I see a bait ball, I'll throw this 5 feet over, work it back through the commotion. Usually I'll get a strike, but here's the tip on this one. Don't goof around taking pictures of that fish. Throw it off your hook, throw it back there. A lot of times you'll get 2 or 3 with the walking bait. So if you're on a hot spot, you're on a bait ball, hurry up and throw this lure back out. Fish this around your brush, your docks, the back ends of creeks, and you'll be happy. All right, moving on, number 5. You guys ever wondered when it's the best time to throw this guy, the lipless crankbait? Well, that's gonna be in the fall when the water temperatures hit between 50 and 60 degrees. Being that the bass are out there hitting schools of bait fish, these are around the perfect size, and this is actually one I just got done restoring. And as you can see, I only have 1 treble in the back. I have that video, I'll throw it in the description below if you want to know how to kind of restore a lure that you find. You kind of work it just like a crankbait. You can kind of hear the rattle in there. A lot of times what I like to do is throw this out, let it fall down to the vegetation, and then rip it out. And a lot of times you get the reaction bite using that method. But if you plan on using that method, you're gonna need a beefier setup. So you're gonna need a heavier power rod. I've used 12-pound fluorocarbon. The gear ratio around 6:1 to kind of work that through some of that heavy cover. All right, next is going to be the square bill, guys. It's going to be a great lure for covering water, kind of as a search bait. Once again, you're going to try to run this into as much cover as you possibly can. If you're thinking to yourself, man, this thing's getting caught up a lot, well, you're fishing it correctly. A lot of times people are like, oh, I don't want to get this caught up, and so you're throwing it away from the stump, you're throwing it off that cover. You want to hit those things. You want to run it through, bounce it off, get the deflections, and that's where you're going to trigger those reaction bites. Now, early in the fall, I'm going to run this a little bit faster, but as I get deeper into fall and the water temperatures drop, I'm going to run this a bit slower. Also, similar to the lipless crankbait, guys, if you get caught in the grass, don't think that is a lost cast. Rip that through, and a lot of times on the other side, keep working it, you'll get that reaction bite. And since it's beefier setup, 12 to 18 pound fluoro, little heavy reaction rod, and you'll be good to go. All right, guys, let me know. Did I miss one that you think should make the list? Let me know in the comments below. See ya.